Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Joe and Ro Talk Toastmasters, a podcast designed and hosted by Toastmasters for Toastmasters guests and friends. Anyone around here who wants to learn something about public speaking and leadership. Thank you so much for all of you who are there in the room tonight. It is a very important day today. Why? Because we are starting the season 2 of Joe and Ro, and we are starting with a bang because this season we are going to talk about leadership, my dear friends. People think Toastmasters is only about communication. It's only about giving speeches and evaluation. But let me help you out here. In Toastmasters, one of the first things that I realized like a bang was leadership is something very important, an integral part of this community and fraternity. And tonight, we have two amazing leaders, very important people in the room. And I cannot tell you how proud, honored, and grateful I am to have them here. Before I start with my guests, I know they don't need any introductions. Everybody in District 98 and even beyond know them. But I have to introduce, that's my job. Let me tell you, there are two special people in the room tonight, and both I and Ron are extremely excited to have a three-way or rather four-way conversation with them tonight. The first guest is the current District Director of District 98, Toastmaster Hardik Shah. I know everyone knows who Hardik Shah is, and I should ask you all for a virtual round of applause. But keeping the podcast element in mind, let me just tell you, I need to give a little bit of introduction, a formal introduction for Hardik. So let's hear it. Hardik is a rank holder chartered accountant with over 13 years of experience in setting up new business verticals, rationalizing costs, creating new revenue streams, and all those things that financial people do. You get the point. He's a champ there. He was the CEO at MT Educare in his last corporate stint. He's currently serving as District 98 Director in Toastmasters, a district which covers Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, Thane, Gujarat, Rajasthan, and Madhya Pradesh. And this needs to be highlighted because tonight we are going to talk about leadership. And mind you, this champ here is the leader of this District 98. Now, who's our second guest today? She's very special to me, especially because she's one of those women leaders that I don't know her personally, but I've admired her from far away. And tonight I'm excited to have her here. The immediate past district director of District 98. Yeah, I know, Sapna, I call you president. See, that's how much I value you. You're not just a leader. I mean, you both are amazing people, but to have a women leader in a space where we don't find that many females, I'll tell you something amazing. And let me give a small introduction, a brief one for Sapna. Sapna Ohri comes with 17 years of work experience in payroll client relationship management. She's currently working as a manager with a Big Four and assists clients with solutions for people, process, and technology information. That's, again, a champ in her career. But as a Toastmaster, she has been a Toastmaster for more than 12 years. And during her journey, she has received numerous Toastmaster International Awards. She was the first district director of the newly reformed District 98, and she received the Excellence in Quality Award in 22-23 as a program quality director. She is the first women club growth director for District 98 and has helped in opening 60 plus clubs. Currently, she is serving as the immediate past director and the president for All Elite Advanced Toastmasters Club and VP membership for IROLI Bilingual Toastmasters Club. Oh my God, this keeps on going on. This gives me a kind of, an intimidation to read out your, introduction, Sapna. Thank you so much, both Hardik and Sapna, for joining us. It's a huge honor for both Ron and I to kick off our leadership series with the topmost elite leaders in our district. Now, why have we chosen leadership in Joe and Ro Toastmasters? Let me tell you, leadership is not just about a journey, right? It is not about a destination. Right now, in 21st century, in the turbulent times post-COVID, what I have realized is leadership is not just about getting there and getting the title and getting things done. It is more than that. It is now a responsibility that whether you want it or not, sometimes you have to take it. And Toastmasters is one place where I realized that whether you want to be a leader or not, you will be responsible for so many different things. And you may not realize it, but you will be put into that position to lead and to serve your fellow Toastmasters and this fraternity. With that theme in mind, I'm not going to ask Hardik or Sapna to start. I'm going to Ron first. Ron, you have been a Toastmasters for more than 11 years. You know both of them better than me. Tell me something about Hardik first, and then maybe Sapna. that you know personally and not many people in this room or our viewers will know? Over to
Yeah,
you, Ron.
thanks. Yeah. So I know Hardik and Sapna for quite a while now. We are contemporaries in Toastmasters, and we've been part of this Toastmaster journey for many years. And obviously, I admire them a lot and I respect them a lot for the amount of responsibility and leadership positions that they've taken. Very interesting dynamic with them is basically Hardik is basically a CA. He's a very analytical and this person, very serious person. But Hardik also has a funny bone in him, which not many people get to see. And of course, Sapna is a kind of loving, emotional leader who takes care of everybody and is keeps everybody together. So it's kind of a yin and yang kind of situation that we have here. And it'll be very interesting to get both perspectives on leadership from an analytical point of view and from a very heartfelt human point of view. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation because these two leaders have really taken up the reins during a difficult time. We were coming out of COVID, the district was splitting up. There was a lot of flux, a lot of chaos in the district. Clubs were shutting, new clubs were not coming up. These people have taken the district and have kind of handled them and brought us up. And I think now we are very well poised, thanks to them, to grow and really have some wonderful years ahead, especially coming out of all those terrible COVID years. So that is also a part of the goal of this kind of conversation, to kind of get their idea of how they took us out of these turbulent times and what is the vision for the future as well. Yeah, so over to you.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
thank you
Okay.
both
Wow.
for being here.
Yeah. I'm sure they know that, Ron. We are so grateful. Now let's talk. Like, oh yeah, Joanne has spoken, Ron has spoken. Now let the guest of honor speak. I'd like to first go to Hardik and then to Sapna. Before we go into all this tough talk leadership, let's start from the basics, right? When did you join Hardik Toastmasters and why? What was that first thought in your mind when you joined Toastmasters?
So this was in 2016. Okay, hi, Joe, Rowan. Thank you for having us over here. I think we have had too much of good things to hear about us already. I hope that's the public sentiments and the pulse sentiments when you do that on the ground. And I'm equally human. I mean, it's okay. I mean, any which ways, coming back to the point. In terms of Toastmaster, I joined 2016. I think September 2016 is when I started the journey. So it's been almost, what, 7 odd years right now. And in 2016, I was, around 25, 26. So that's an age when most of friends get married and you're left alone. So I was there to find some new friends, and that's how Toastmasters started for me. And then one thing after the other kept me around. But yeah, that's how it started. If that's a particular question you want to know, then there was no
Wow.
intent of communication leadership, just socializing.
Just socializing and to find friends. From there, you are today the district director. I am sure that will be a wonderful journey to hear about. But before that, Sapna, over to you. When did you join and why did you join Toastmasters?
I joined Toastmasters way back in May 2011. So it was, I think Prasad was there that time in Pune. I was working with Pune ADP, and one of our senior managers was aware about Toastmasters. And as always, when you start off your career, you're more interested in curricular activities at your workplace rather than work much, because you don't have to take responsibilities. You're not a team leader or a manager. So that's when I got to know about Toastmasters. And since it was a corporate sponsored thing, free of cost, I didn't have to pay anything. I jumped right into it, and I did not know it was communication, because I don't remember attending a demonstration meeting or anything of that sort. Neither did I know that it's a leadership. And I think for a very long time, I didn't even want to be a DTM. I still remember, I don't remember whom I told, but I was like, I'm not interested in being a DTM. I wanted to do my communication track. I was so happy with that storytelling manual at that point of time that I gave it, like, almost, I gave every speech 4 times any which way. So that made up to my 40 speeches in the old educational this thing. But yeah, and I'm here after a decade, more than a decade now. I feel vintage man in the crowd. But that's
Okay,
how I
wow.
joined.
Jurassic
Like, I'll tell
Toastmasters.
you, yeah, no, they are young Toastmasters. Ron, you can be Jurassic, but leave Sapna and Hardik to us youngsters now. Anyways, like, what is a fascinating thing here? You guys are the top leaders in Toastmasters right now. And yet both of you did not join even thinking about communication or leadership. It feels like it was a happy accident that you came and then you conquered this top leadership position. So let me start with you, Sapna. Why district director? From that person who was like, this is free, let me just join and see what happens, to directly district director. How did you find that courage and interest, to get into this position?
Okay, I will try and be as nice as possible, but I think when you start off in your journey, so I remember when I was an area director, and then when I wanted to jump into a division director role, and I was moving from Pune to Mumbai, and it wasn't an easy thing. And at that point of time, we used to hear a leader say that if you want to get into the trio role, you need to give 4 years of your life. And I was too passionate. I took a year's break after my division director, and then I was too passionate to get into the CGD role. So I think it's like I knew what I was going to do. So for me, that was not a tough decision, or nobody had to like coax me to keep moving up. That's one. I also knew the kind of responsibilities and the responsibilities that are going to come on me, because I'll have to learn to manage my work, my family, everything. And I was ready to take it on. But trust me, district director was not an easy role to do. I think by the time it was the month of June, I was almost going to have a heart attack, is what I feel. Yeah, because every day you're looking at that dashboard and your numbers don't move for like constantly a week. Every night I'm calling Toastmasters International to tell them the clubs have made a payment. Can you please process? And it was like the pressure was way too much. But when I look at it now, I feel happy about it, that I took up the role. It was a natural progression for me. I knew what I was getting into, but I feel happy and satisfied when I look back at it now that I took it up.
Wow. So even though it was like a happy accidental start, you're telling that you knew you wanted to be a district director at some
Yeah.
point of time, and you knew how and what to do to get there.
I never wanted to be a district director. As I said, right, I joined Toastmasters. I wanted to compete. I think that's with everybody, all of us, initially, because we are so much into communication and all, and then we just love. And that contest is amazing. It's been 5-6 years that I've not contested, but now I don't have the guts to actually go back and contest with you guys because I fear losing, right? But it was so amazing. I never thought I'll be a leader. I never wanted to get into the leadership roles at all because I was happy. But I think certain changes just come naturally along the way when you learn and you grow in Toastmasters. And specifically, I think when you want to be a DTM, you definitely have to serve. And that's the starting point when you start liking what you're doing. When you
Okay.
start understanding the role more, that's the trigger point.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sapna, for that. Over to you, Hardik. What was your journey like? Were you also like Sapna? Like you knew you wanted to be a leader, you are that competitive person, or it was a happy accident for you?
So I'll have to be diplomatically correct because I don't want people to cut this conversation and post only this clipping of this that Hardik stated this as part of the leadership journey. But the fact is, I was an area director with Sapna, I was the division director. So that her Pune transition happened. That's when I went for the first time, and I wanted to be an area director. That's the first step outside the club. So I was only a treasurer at my club when I became an area director. I did not serve any other club roles. I took a break because I wanted to enjoy Toastmasters. Like I mentioned, I came here to network with individuals, socialize. Let me not do leadership so that I can enjoy it. But the person inside me who loves to be doing all of this, so AD became a natural choice of me that want to do it. Division director happened 2 years later. And post that, since we were going through reformation, I think Sapna and the leadership team there, Nitesh and all, kind of coaxed me. I will use the word because Sapna was not coaxed, but I was coaxed to take up the CGT role. And once you are there in the trio, you get used to winning elections because you can't win contest anymore. You can't influence the judges, but you can influence voters possibly now better. So then you become a PQD and district director. So the CGD is the starting point where you need to convince yourself a little. Then it's a commitment of 3 years, like Sapna said, that's a 4-year commitment. So you stick around and get things moving in terms of that. So if you ask me honestly, I remember in 2017, I think 16 or 17, Arvind was the PQD and he had come to my home club, Mumbai Toastmasters. And I was at last, he was in the last bench and he will watch everyone with the stern eyes. And at the last, he was invited to come on stage and, he's our program quality director. The words program quality for a fresher 6-month-old Toastmasters are very heavy to listen to. And then he said that as a grammarian, the audience does not do a thumbs up. That's the only feedback he had in that meeting. And we have a 3-hour long meeting with 7 speakers, all right? And that was the only feedback he had. And I was so scared of one Arvind Nair because with his gray and those hairs and all of that. And then the worst program quality director. I'm like, I'm never going to be that person. But then seeing myself serve in these roles in the last 2 years, I think that's been a little funny, accidental journey. But yeah, I think CGD was coaxing, but then of course PQD and DD has been a natural choice in terms of completing what I started.
You know what I did on the 1st of July to Hardik? I was like, welcome to the role, district director.
अब तेरी बारी.
अब तुम्हारे हवाले वतन साथियों हम चले.
Both of you
I can see that.
seem to be so
Yeah.
reluctant to get into these roles, but you both are doing a fantastic job. You've done a fantastic job and are doing a fantastic job. As a senior Toastmaster, one of my challenges is always trying to get young Toastmasters to take up more leadership role. What is your advice to that? How do you kind of encourage others to kind of get into these kind of senior roles going ahead? Because it seems like a very huge challenge of time and responsibility also.
And adding to that question, Ron, that's like a very brilliant question. But adding to that, let me ask you, Hardik and Sapna, the fact is that you have no remuneration for these, right? You're committing 3 to 4 years of your life. I'm just the VP education and I'm like, I'm done. I can't take it anymore. And this is my first time in a leadership role. Bas ho gaya. You guys have been the district directors. I cannot even imagine the amount of time and efforts that you're putting from your life and you're not getting anything. So what is the motivation? What is the motivation for you to do this? Is it the title, the fame, the work, the service? Please enlighten us about that so that, as Ron said, newcomers like us, we can also think about maybe the leadership roles.
So one funny statistic analytical numbers is that the average age of the DD has been dropping in D98. If you look at Arvind, Ravi and Brilliant, they were at 40, 50, 60. Now we are at 30s. So I think the average age is definitely dropping in terms of the trio leadership role that we have right now. But yes, I think the challenge, of course, is in terms of the next generation. If you look at, you want to call it Gen Z or, whatever you want to call them, in terms of leadership roles is instant gratification. See, these roles that we serve will not give you instant results that, okay, I became the VPA today, I will change the culture of my home club in 2 months and people will remember me for life. The fact about the good and bad about Toastmasters is that it's a limited time frame role, all right? I'm sure a lot of people today will not know the first district director of D98 who was 9 years back, all right? But they served their term beautifully well at that point in time. And after 3 years, I'm sure in 3 years, people will not remember that. So in terms of the next leadership, Toastmaster leadership is about experimenting your leadership style and understanding that. If you're coming here with an expectation, it's a short-term frame. For 1 year, this year you're calling me and Sapna. Next year, possibly you will not call either of us. You'll call the next leadership, right? Right? And that's okay. We are okay with that. We are supposed to be okay with that, all right? And that's where the point is that a lot of people today, they want that instant gratification and that gratification to last a longer time. So a faster success story like what they say, right? Instant likes on your Facebook or Instagram posts, right? That's not going to happen. As a young person, if you want to come over here, you will get to experiment your understand yourself as a leader. That are you able to command, let's say, an area director, for example, command the respect of 3 clubs who are like the best club. For example, I'm sure most of us come from very reputed clubs who do not need an advisor from outside. So an AD, when the person faces a failure and getting work done with that club, they realize that that's how professional life also is going to be for them individually. And when they face that and the professional life, they'll be better equipped and prepared to handle those situations. So that's how I'm going to look at it. The first part of answering that, the average age has come down, but yes, the leadership uh, the intent has to be different. If I'm coming with an intent that, okay, I am the area director or division director, people need to come and say hello to me, versus trying to understand me as a leader, it helps you break that barrier. Sapna, add to that.
Yep. I think when you talk about remuneration, this is one question that I have been hearing a lot, whether it's from my friends or my family. They just ask, "तुम्हें मिलता क्या है?" You know, because I have honestly, being in these roles, I have sacrificed a lot of my personal life, and I wouldn't, and I'm someone who says it upfront to anyone who says they want to get. This is not a hunky dory. It's not about the title. It's not about the fame or anything of that sort. Leadership looks, I have been through that time, not here, but professionally as well, wherein I used to feel that if I become a team leader, I'll not have to work because my team leader doesn't do anything, right? We all look do that, correct? And when you actually get into the role, you realize it's not about the processing or the regular operation, but there's more strategic work that's happening. There is, because for a team leader, their performance is measured on how your entire team has been performing. So that perspective changed for me. And with Toastmasters, I always, whenever people ask me, what is it that you're getting out of it? Because I say, probably I'm not getting anything out of it in terms of a full time payment or anything of that sort. And that's not the motivation that I have to be in Toastmasters. It's just that it's a very therapeutic, if I'm pronouncing it right, Arvind, I'm really sorry. It's a very therapeutic experience. Imagine when somebody does art, right? And or you read books or you cook in the kitchen, you're not going to get anything, but it's just the happiness that you get when you do it. I have seen personally so many of our Toastmasters transform into more confident speakers or leaders. And I still remember that one incident wherein I was giving a demonstration meeting at one of the corporate clubs. I'm not even sure if it is still alive or not, but one of the person after the demonstration, he came back to me and he said that, see, I don't care if Toastmasters helps me to become a speaker wherein I can speak to a group of people, 100 people and all. You just tell me, if I join Toastmasters, will I be able to speak to my own friends on a table? That was my reality check of Toastmasters. And I feel that, and I have literally seen our fellow Toastmasters putting those efforts with the club members who don't feel confident, right? People walking up to me or walking up to others and just and giving them the right kind of feedback that they require, which is more motivating, at the same time letting them know what they could have done better and how they could have done better. So I think that's the entire environment, which is a remuneration for all of us. But as Hardik said, instant gratification is not something that you will ever get in Toastmasters. You will have to put in that hard work. So if you think, I will not attend a meeting, I will stay outside, but I'll get confidence if I become a Toastmaster, then you're wrong. I think I just read a post somewhere that I joined gym 6 months back. No changes have happened. Now I'm actually going to the gym to see why it has not happened. So it's like you don't attend meetings, but you pay your membership amount, and then you come and then you expect a change to happen. Boss, it will never happen. You have to put in those hard work, and that's why we want to do a leadership or a communication or repeat speeches or whatsoever is because we want to be better at what we were,
Okay.
and that's
Thank you
my
Just
so
to add to
remuneration.
Sapna, yeah, to add, maybe to get invited to podcasts like these.
Thank you so much. Ron, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I was wanted to address Hardik's point that the leaders are becoming younger and younger. Is it your experience that a lot of these leaders, for them, the leadership in Toastmasters is the first taste of leadership, and how do they deal with it? As in, maybe they are still few years away from taking leadership in their careers, but in Toastmasters they get leadership opportunities very early. And are these young leaders able to cope? Is one of the questions that is important, because as you
Absolutely.
said, the age of leaders is decreasing and we are putting a lot of load on these youngsters.
True. So I think at least in the last couple of years, especially post-COVID, we have seen a lot of senior members not continuing the Toastmaster journey, not able to equip themselves to the Zoom world and the box world. And that's when we saw a lot of college students and all coming up as area directors, at least as the first taste of leadership, like I mentioned. And that's true. I mean, for a lot of us, Toastmasters is one place, one where we get a lot of instant recognition. Once an email goes out that, Joanne has become the area director, it's an instant gratification to you as an individual. Okay, my mail has gone to 5,000 people. 5,000 people know me as an area director, one. And second, of course, it's their first days because they're just fresh out of college or they are, freshers in their jobs. You'll see a lot of people out there taking up these opportunities because it's an excitement and euphoria that you see from the outside that the area director is a very fancy title. Director, the term director adds a lot more weight to it in terms of the fancy title. Like, for example, a lot of people in the last couple of years want to be called founder and CEO of ABC company without having any plan of what they want to do. So some people take it up and then they realize what they are getting into. And that's okay, right? Because that's why Toastmasters is a beautiful platform where, there are people who will help you build that. Like when I was an area director, I was 25, 26, but I only did a treasurer role. So the perception is if you don't be a president, VP, you should not become an area director. You will not understand all of that. So you break those myths, and one or two individuals start breaking that myth, that starts motivating other people to take up that it's doable. See, nothing, it's about how do you manage your time and your professional life or your college life. If you're able to manage your time and schedule and you're committed to it, it is a doable job, but it's not an easy, like it's not hunky dory. I sign up for it and things will happen automatically. That effort, but the results and transformation of individuals who we have seen, who have taken up area director role and then gone into professional life has been a lot better compared to individuals who have not taken up leadership role.
So it's a
Sapna,
generational thing, right? I mean, it's a new generation
so
coming up taking it on, right? Yeah, go ahead.
no,
Sorry, go
Ron,
ahead,
so
Joanne.
to that, yeah, no, that was a fantastic question. And I was coming to my next question. I think Sapna and Hardik, you guys are like on that cusp, edge, where you have seen the senior leaders, the senior members taking up leadership, and you have also seen the newcomers, the youngsters, Gen Z doing that. So kindly enlighten us, what is the difference, major difference that you see in both these generations? And what is that one thing you would have,
All yours.
like, one thing you would have felt like, okay, I wish this the seniors could have done better, or this the juniors could have done better. Yeah, Sapna, I know you're excited. Please tell us.
One
She's
thing which
excited to give some examples.
yeah, one thing which I definitely have learned from my seniors is how formal these meetings are. In terms of your dress up, in terms of how you talk to people, how you behave, everything has to be a formal setup. You start on time, you end on time. One thing which is completely missing in the youngsters is to understand this part. Because there's, as Ron very rightly mentioned, the young people, do you really want to stress them out like that? But we can just give them an environment and let them just, start taking it back into their life. I mean, imbibing it into their own personal lives. I feel this is something which our youngsters definitely need to learn, because uh, a lot of meetings that I have been to, or what I feel is that people don't understand professionalism or the way Toastmasters represents professionalism a lot. That is one. Second, what our seniors can learn from youngsters is let them make mistakes. Don't put your perfectionism on their head. It's their journey. They have just started. Let them make those mistakes and let them learn. There is a learning curve even they have. Let's not be too hard on them just because we've crossed a certain 10 years or a 20 years or a 30 years in Toastmasters. Don't forget that we were also like them, or maybe worse than them, and we started off with the journey. So these are the two things that I would say that need to get together.
Hardik, and then Ron, I'm going to come to you also. You are also a level near Toastmaster, so you have to answer this. But first to Hardik, as a youngster yourself, I consider you young, Hardik. As a youngster
I know
yourself,
Sapna is old. I agree with you on that.
no, I consider Sapna also young. Don't worry. But to you, Hardik, what is that one thing you think that seniors have that we juniors don't, and vice versa?
I think, to be honest, like you hear from a lot of people that ye baal धूप में सफेद नहीं होते. So it's experience and patience. I think you want it to ripen before you want to get the fruit out of it. Again, the first point, instant gratification nature. So you got experience, that patience and understanding different situations. Like, if a club is not answering your call, what's your plan B and plan C and plan D? You know that at the back of your mind somewhere, right? And you're okay to experiment and change your trajectory to get your results. When I look at the next generation, what works for them beautifully is, ideation and brainstorming. The kind of ideas and innovation that we try and bring into the table. I mean, the older folks will be like, this is the standard manual. A, B, C is the only way to go from A to C. Do not build a bridge over B. The next generation will try and do something new and different, try and bring that excitement and flavor of themselves in terms of, what a little change, if I have to put it, in terms of how we function to it. But again, they're not patient. If I experimented something for one meeting, 5 members did not like it, I will stop trying it a second time. You have to try it 3-4 times for people to understand that it's going to be fun. For instance, last year when we launched Kahani and IPL, we let it run for the entire year for it to be experimented till eloquence for people to get the flavor. And now people are okay with it. But when we launched it last year, I think I got at least half a dozen emails, another dozen to Sapna as escalation that what are you doing? So these changes are where patience required. So that's the bridge. I think if both of them to come together, their experience of what can work and acceptance to new ways of doing the same old thing. All right. So naya andaz for the old, you say new packaging for the old box.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Very well put, Hardik. New packaging for the old box. End of the day, the goals are same, but we have to move with time, and that experimentation is something that youngsters can bring in. Ron, what about you? What do you think?
So I'll tell you very simply. The example is right in front of our eyes. The new generation is fearless. They are enthusiastic. They are innovative. They want to try different things. I'll give you an example. When I asked you to start this podcast, what did you say?
Yes.
Said yes. I mean, imagine if I was in your shoes about 10 years ago, I would have been, "Arey nahi yaar, tum marwaoge yaar, kya soch rahe ho?" You were like, "Okay, let's do it. Let's try it." And that enthusiasm is there in the new generation. But Hardik is absolutely right. It has to be tempered with patience, guidance, and this. So it's very important. This dynamic between the seniors and the juniors is very important for our district. But yeah, considering the young blood and the innovative blood we have in our district, I think that says a lot for the future of the district. It's going to be very positive. It's going to be very interesting, going to be very innovative. And as somebody who loves innovation, I am very, very thrilled to have people like you in the district who are fearless. And yeah, but you need some guidance and some hand holding, especially during the times when you feel the confidence will not take you across. And we just need to come across and say, no, it will work out. Just relax. Let's do our thing and it'll happen. And that's the role even I find myself in a lot of times in our clubs and in our areas and in the district.
Ron, that's why Joe and Roe works, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. You bring in your 11 years of experience that balances out our equation. Thank you so much, Hardik and Sapna, for that point on juniors versus seniors. Now, forget about all of that. Let's dive deep into leadership. Personally, I'm not someone who likes leadership roles. I always refrain from that unless it's like, koi nahi hai, utha lo, nahi to gir jayega. That is when I'll step into any kind of leadership role. And that has been 90, my life.
90% of leadership is like that.
Right. And I'll tell you why.
See,
no,
both
Sapna
of them agree,
and
right?
But they are passionate. They are quite competitive. They have that mindset. I can see that, and the way they speak, I got it, that they have that winners and leaders mindset. So we'll come to that mindset later. But I'll tell you, one of the things that I have realized and I've discussed with people is major issue why I don't want to get into leadership is the conflict and human management. Leadership is not just about getting things done. It is about getting things done from other people. And when you involve a huge district like District 98, with thousands of people and more than hundreds of club involved, there are supposed to be conflict, right? So how do you keep your team motivated, on track, despite all the conflicts and obstacles? What do you do to manage that? You guys must have done something fantastic to be where you are. So, like, who wants to go first, Hardik or Sapna?
Hardik, you start.
I think
This is a
you're
difficult
very
question.
smart way to push it.
No, and I want an answer, guys. Please teach us. Like, how do you manage the conflict and obstacles?
So, see, you don't manage conflicts. I'll give you a little, I'll take a little longer route to this answer. Okay. So, in my last corporate job, I was there for almost 2 years. And when I joined the company was kind of out of leadership. So, the entire top management had left in a span of 2, 3 months. And we were trying to, and there was a new CEO on board. And I was the second person to join as a leader in the organization. And the first 6 to 8 months, only the two of us were managing operations, finance, marketing, everything. After 6 months, when we started building the company really well, cash flow aa raha tha, money was there, business was doing well. We hired the CFO, the CEO, the HR, and the company grew from 100 to 200 in that 12 months. The first 6 months we were doing work, getting the business up. The next 6 months we were managing these people because there was a conflict or a question every day coming from some department. Some person said this, some people went on a wrong track and made these statements, wrong commitments. That's human, right? It's human to be there. So one thing I strongly believe in is that you may disagree with an individual. Okay? I don't agree with your opinion, what you say, but you can't disrespect the individual. You have to accept the fact that both of us may not agree with the same thing. But if John is the person and authority of power to make the final decision, I will voice my concerns to you. But John, it's your call finally to make. And once you make the call, I have to agree to it. Like even corporate world, you have your CEO making the final call, right? You might have brainstorming boardroom discussions that marketing will spend 1 crore or 50 lakhs, we'll hire Shah Rukh Khan or Ranveer Singh or whatever. It's either the CMO or the CEO make a final call. I may have preferred Virat Kohli because I'm his fan. But is he the right fit and right thing? Because the person, the CEO, is thinking from a 30,000 feet view. If I am looking at it from a 3,000 feet view, correct? So you'll have to let that person trust that person's instincts, judgment, and it's his final call to make. So conflicts cannot always be handled easily, all right? You will have people disagreeing with you on your face at times. You'll have people disagreeing with you behind the scenes. If I'm a leader, I will want people who disagree with me on my scene, but we can walk arm to arm together and walk out of the room. But if you disagree with me behind the scenes, that means you're disrespecting me also as a leader, as my thought process. So that's how I try to bring a bridge. You will have conflicts. You cannot solve all conflicts. You will have battles. You will lose a few battles, but remember, you have to win the war at the end. So there's no straight answer to it. There is no secret sauce formula that you can apply in every situation. So yeah, I think Sapna has had a lot of conflicts because of me, but yeah, she'll answer them better.
Yeah, the bigger ones have always been with you only.
How do you handle Hardik? Come on, tell us.
We'll edit that out. Don't
So,
worry.
no, with him, it's like we have a simple rule. I think I don't know if I was a PQD and he was a CGD, something of that sort. And I remember we both had a fight, and I banged the phone on his face. And after 5 minutes, as I am, I called him back because I was feeling guilty. And luckily, he picked up the phone. And after that, I think I've made it a rule that I never bang my phone, I never bang a phone on his face or on anyone, because I think it's important to talk. And I think every conflict that you have, Hardik very rightly mentioned that you can't make everybody happy. Not everybody is going to understand what your end goal is. And when you have like a view from the top, it's very difficult to drill it down to that 3,000 feet. And that's where you have the layers in leadership, right? That's why as a district director, you have your trio team, your top 7, your DIVDs, and then your ADs who can actually break that 30,000 into different pieces and take it back to their club members. So with me, the conflicts have happened, and I have pushed myself. This is one which I have learned as a leader, is to not let the conflict be as is, and just go ahead and talk and break it. But I try only once, and I try it for from my standpoint that I have made that effort, and I will be as um practical as possible and just fix, or focus on what the problem is, or what am I what I feel is happening. The other person gets to talk, if I feel that, okay, after that conversation, I would rather get up from that table after we discuss it and understand what I wanted, what the other person wanted. And if we can come to a common conclusion, let them work. So I'm one of those people who doesn't like to, tell people what to do every time. I will be like, this is what we have to achieve. Come up with a plan of yours. And if you fail, I'm there. I don't care about, the like this is what we have to do it. Put in all your efforts. I'm one of those people. So I don't really get too much into in depth of how they're doing it. And with me, it's important if somebody doesn't agree to me, I would rather talk to that person. And maybe I'm not thinking in the right way. I have a one direction, maybe the other person has another direction. So is it what is beneficial at the end of the day for the district or for the cause that we're doing? I would rather agree on it and then take it from there. But yes, one thing which I've learned in the last 1.5 years is that a lot of things can be sorted by talking. So when you have a conflict management, which is bound to happen, I think it's better to pick up the phone and talk rather than doing WhatsApp chat. This is what we all do, all the youngsters these days. And this is what I'm refraining from doing. So if I have something, I'll pick up the phone and I'll talk to you. And I even tell people, you want something out of me, you call me, you don't WhatsApp me anymore. Because even if I'm checking, I'm not responding to you because I would prefer a call. So I think conversing, we are in the business of communication. We don't talk, and that's where issues arise. And we are emotional people. It's a perception driven organization. It's a perception driven world. I think everybody needs to be heard. Everybody needs to talk. They just want to feel that, the human side, that you're hearing me out. And I think if a conversation can work out and you all can come to a common ground, many conflicts will be resolved.
Thank you. Sapna, Ron, you want to
Just
add
to,
something?
Yeah,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry,
Yeah.
just before Ron comes in, is the fact that sometimes you have to be realistic and stop being idealistic. So as a leader, there might be a framework, a notebook manner of, textbook theoretical way of doing things. That's ideal. But as leaders, you have to be more realistic in terms of how to approach situations, and the textbook formula will not always work for you.
Agree.
Ron, over to you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
why we both complement each other. I'm sorry.
yeah, makes
Mm.
sense. Makes sense. Now, I wanted to ask you, you've been in this leadership journey for many years. Now, one of the things which I have experienced in leadership and a lot of people experience in leadership is there will always be confrontation and certain behavior from others which you cannot control, and sometimes the behavior is aberrant and you don't know the other person's circumstances why they are behaving, but you bear the brunt of it. I'll give you a small example. I'll of course not take names. Is in One of my friends is a leader in the club, and she's in the XCOM, and there was a kind of a tiff between two of the members in the club. Now this friend was not directly involved, but it kind of demoralized her, the level that conflict went to. And she's like, why am I in leadership when I have to deal with this kind of stuff? So my question is basically, when you come across this kind of thing which makes you feel internally not happy, feel a little bit ugly, feel a little bit down, how do you kind of bounce back and shrug it off? Because it's very difficult for a lot of people to deal with this negative side of leadership, which inevitably, if you stay as leader for a long time, it's going to happen, right? So how do you deal with that? How do you just put it aside and just carry on? It does scar you or doesn't scar you? What is the...
And
It
just
does.
adding to that, Sapna, Hardik, have you guys genuinely, honestly ever thought of quitting?
Oh,
Adding to
2020,
that.
2020, I think my journey again started 2020. I still remember Hardik came to my house, someone came to my house. I was actually going through a mental breakdown because of Toastmasters. And I wanted to quit. And at that point of time, I had filed in for my CGD, and Hardik just said, he knew how I am. So he just said, take one step at a time, you know, sit for the interview. My interview was pathetic. I was asked questions which I had not even expected. It was more like a direct attack on you kinds. And then it went on. I got through, and from there on, I started to pick up. It hurts, when you're emotional or when you think that I have not done anything wrong, why people are attacking me. It hurts a lot. But when you have people around you who know that you've not done anything wrong, and when you know that you've not done anything wrong, you will pick yourself up. And over the years, when you become a leader, you become thick skinned because you know that not everybody will agree with what you do. you will have, if you have 10 people who love you, there'll be 90 people behind you who hate you for what you are doing. And I think I love to say that when people hate you and they talk about you, that means you're doing something right. I'm sorry, but it just makes you feel good about it, right? And so to the point that um, conflict or confrontation happens, I think in my DD role, the only thing that I have focused on is what is my goal at the end of the day. It's not like I've not, people have not insulted me or their behavior has not been up to the mark. And I've never felt that, oh, I'm a district director or I'm into a role and why are people behaving like this? But the only thing that I did at that point of time was, do I have the leverage or do I have the strength to focus on this? Or do I need to put my strength of focus on the area which will lead my district to be something? And that's how I changed. And I think this is a behavioral aspect of mine, which I have learned or imbibed over a period of time by being into so many leadership positions. So I've become mentally strong. It doesn't really matter. Now I'm like, I know only 10 people. That's fine. I don't bother about the 90. Work on the 10. That's about it.
Wow, thank you, Sapna. Hardik, what about you? How do you handle the negativity? Have you thought about
So,
quitting? Be honest.
honestly, I mean, I told you, right? I didn't want to do CGD, PQT, and that all happened eventually. And, there are days when you are like, why am I doing this? Like you mentioned, right? Why are we spending so many hours in Toastmasters when there are individuals who will pick on you, right? Because they don't agree with something you have done, they don't agree with your leadership style. And I mean, accusations, name calling, it happens, right? And people will do that. I'll tell you, I mean, and even linking it to politics because we have an election format in which how Toastmasters leaderships are elected, all right? So there's a campaign, there is voting, there are phone calls, there are messages that go around. So we've been through all of that. We've seen all of that. I remember at my first corporate job, I just qualified as a CA, and one more colleague. So two of us qualified that year, and we in a Big Four we had a concept of you become a consultant and there are levels like level one, two, three. So by default, I was supposed to be level one, but the two seniors of both of us, they had a political outmanship that, I am a better leader than you kind of stuff. So in that, they try to put all of us into it. We'll promote you out of turn. We'll do this for you and all of that to showcase their leadership style and showcase politics as part of corporate culture also. The fact is that it happens in corporate life also. It's not something, it's that we are immune to that as individuals. So you'll have people who will call names to you, who will say things to you at the back end. One thing I've learned in 5 years or 6 years as an AD, if you ask me this question, I will instantly respond to any question. If you raise a question which is incorrect or you disagree with me, I will argue with you on whichever forum that is. It could be a public WhatsApp group, it could be in a public forum, what email, I'll instantly respond to you within 5 minutes. Now, uh, I wait for 5 days. I sleep over it. I have my mail at the back of my mind, all right? It's drafted. But I'll wait 5 days before shooting it out. Has my mind changed? See, as a leader, I mean, we are human at the end of the day, right? So I suffer from overthinking anxiety. So for me, I think that I better do it because if I start thinking about it, I will never end up doing it. So sometimes I just do it. So and days when I'm anxious in the morning, that when someone has made a comment and I'm like, what did I do to deserve this? I go back to sleep. I sleep for 1 or 2 hours, get back, freshen up, and then go out. Even in office, on days when you're having a sales target, meetings to be done, and the cash flow is not on track, the sales numbers are not on track, you feel bad, anxious about it. That what do I do next? And you don't get proper sleep at times. You wake up dizzy, a little dingy that way. Go back to sleep, wake up, and then go back to work. So, as humans, I mean, as leaders, we can't showcase that every day, right? If I start showcasing my insecurities and inferiorities every day to the team, that energy gets passed on to them. So when I wake up, I have to ensure that when I address a DC or a DCM, my energy is perfect, my governing documents inclusions are perfect. At the back end, when I'm addressing a crowd, there are 10 thoughts at the back of my mind that what if the Zoom crashes? What if the polling doesn't work? Right? But it can't come on the screen. So we deal with all those anxieties, overthinking at the back end. We are all humans as leaders, but we learn to keep a mask in front of us, put up the front best show, and once the Zoom meeting is over, you just wash it off. So yeah, I mean, you deal with it. You just live with it. Sometimes, if someone over exceeds the steps, you give it back to them also. I believe, like I mentioned, you can't always be idealistic. You have to be realistic as well, right? So reality check to that person is important that, okay, while you may disagree with me, disrespect, but don't disrespect me completely all the time. You let go once or twice. I'm sure if you have seen Mahabharata, heard of Mahabharata, वो 100 मौके दिए थे, then his head was cut off, right? That's how life also is. You give one or two chances if you have to. Like if you look at that movie Munna Bhai also, right? एक थप्पड़ खाने को बताया तो उसके बाद तो नहीं बताया क्या करना है. So then you slap back, right? So there are days when you are completely out of emotions and you snap back at the individual also, right? And that only makes us human.
Wow, thank you. That was very raw and honest, Hardik. Thank you so much for saying,
Yeah, for
that
both of them, yeah, they're being very.
yeah, Sapna and Hardik, I'll tell you one of the best things right now, what I learned is it all looks as if you guys have got it all together, but then many a times as leaders, you're just wearing a mask. You're taking the brunt as humans. You're wearing a mask so that the team, the group, the members, the district doesn't fall together. So I can just imagine the amount of pressure that is putting on a district director or the trio or anyone in that top leadership position. Thank you so much for being honest and telling us that you are also humans and you also have that bad days, but still you put up the smile and come. So this is something I think we all can take back home. Even in your club, when things go wrong and when you feel frustrated, I think this is where that professionalism that Sapna spoke about, right? As seniors, we need to learn that you put that professional mask and then do your duty. And then, as Hardik said, just wash off. Ron, yes, over to you. Anything for
Yeah.
you to add to this negativity?
No, it's not about the negativity part. Is basically in Toastmasters, we don't have control about the people who we work with. In an organization, there are certain interview processes, there are certain qualifications that go through. But in Toastmasters, in a club, in an area, in a this, we have to work with anybody who joins, pays the fees, and comes into the club. So there is very little control we actually have over our environment, over the kind of people that join. So there is something you have to cultivate, that you should be able to be adaptable to work with a wide variety of different people. For example, if Hardik is working in, say, in a financial firm, the people he's surrounded will be mostly financial professionals who have a certain work ethic, a certain way of approaching things. That will never happen in Toastmasters. You could have somebody from finance, you could have somebody from marketing, you could have a housewife, you could have anybody. So at the end of the day, the kind of challenges you will be facing is going to be extraordinary. And what Sapna says is right. You have to develop a thick skin. But having said that, I would also want to add one last thing into this particular point is I will take a lot of crap if I'm being paid a lot of money, especially in my business. But here, if I am doing this voluntarily and I'm giving my time to people, there is a certain ceiling of crap that I will take. Beyond that, I will not tolerate, Toastmasters or no Toastmasters. I don't know if everybody would agree with that, but people who work with me know this. So there
No,
is,
I agree. I think
yeah,
that's how it is. See, I've been called autocratic within Toastmasters by some senior Toastmasters because my style is straightforward and I'm curt and I'm fine with it. And but at the same time, and it hurts, when you feel that, okay, I'm not intentionally hurting anyone. I'm being respectful to you, and you still feel just because probably our ideologies don't meet. um you can't frame people and then go about spreading that perception about you, your style and all. I think that's where friends come into picture, because there are times when you literally want to howl, you want to cry, because as Hardik mentioned, right? I mean, I have been through the same stress, same anxiety, because people don't understand the pressure until and unless you're not into the role. So, and when that happens, when people disrespect you and all of that, you just need to vent it out. And you need, and that's where your close circle comes into picture wherein you can just go vent it out and come back fresh. And that's important for everyone. I think for you, as I mean, Hardik mentioned that you just wake up, you think about it, or you just leave it at that point of time. But when there is so much going on, we are all normal human beings. We have a professional, and we all, Ron said, "Gali kha lenge." When you're earning money, आप कुछ भी कर लोगे. But trust me, when you're earning money or professional or a business, you might not face so much of crap that we do here. Okay, when it's in a voluntary organization. But what to do? Because you've taken up a responsibility, you have to go through it. You have to ensure that everybody sees that they are getting, the district is getting somewhere. That pressure is high. So at that point of time, you need to talk. And I always encourage that talk. I remember the times when I used to just call Hardik and say, I want to vent. And then he'll give me that 5 minutes of 10 minutes of time wherein he'll not, and then I'll be like, he'll be silent, and I'll be, are you there? He's like, yeah, I'm here listening. I said, okay, give some background noise, score, like, so I know you're there. But I had to do it because if I don't vent out, then I'm going to definitely lash out on somebody else. Either it's family, and the first, obviously, it's family always. That's how it is. But either it's family, definitely I can't go back to Toastmasters. I can't let my work suffer. So you have to vent it out and let it go to be better, to think more rationally and clearly.
I think, thank you all three of you for bringing out this point. I think at this point, the message that I feel every Toastmaster in anywhere in the world needs to understand is that this is a voluntary organization. And even though people are district directors and trio and PQD, and they are doing this for free, they are taking up responsibilities so that you guys can have a successful year, you guys can have a successful conference and whatnot. So a minimum professionalism is also expected from each and every Toastmaster who joins. I think this is something that every club needs to reiterate back home so that every Toastmaster understands this, that yes, there are expectations from the district director, and yes, they are accountable to certain things. But at the same time, you also have to acknowledge, appreciate, and show the gratitude, the fact that they are humans who are having a career, a family, and doing this voluntarily. So that, I think once that is there in your head, then this half of the conflicts will be out of the picture.
Very well said, yes.
This is something I want everybody who's listening to the podcast right now, please take this back home to your clubs, to your fellow Toastmasters. Respect and professionalism is not just something to be expected from the top. It is something from the bottom up also. So let's all acknowledge the fact that they are also doing this voluntarily. So we need to give them that. Wow. I have a list of questions I want to ask. And, one thing I'll tell you I'm loving about this conversation here is the honesty. You guys are not hiding it under proverbs and quotes and saying, yeah, leadership is this and that. This is like raw and honest. This is the fact, what's happening. So one last question, like I'll say a negative question, and then we'll go to something fun. In your entire year as district director, Sapna or Hardik, like throughout the journey, do you remember one decision that you regretted and you would have gone back and done it differently? And if it's okay for you guys to share it openly on Joe and Ro, then we would be really, really, grateful to you guys. Something so that we can also learn from it.
Yeah, you don't have to give details, but you can just generally give us an overview.
Generally, no need to take names, but one decision.
We need something to blackmail you with afterwards.
No. This is honestly, because many a times I feel as leaders, the fact that we didn't do enough is something that keeps haunting us more than what we did. I could have done better. I should have done better. Somebody would have done better than me. So I'm sure you guys have also gone through this. Your experience is way more than anybody else here right now. So what do you guys regret? Any one event that comes to your mind? Hardik, I think you're ready with the answer.
I'm not ready with the answer. See, of course, I mean, there are reflections on your journey when your term ends. Like I said, right, Toastmaster, the beauty, it's a one-year term. So as a CGD, for example, when the term ended, these are the things we could have done better or differently. Right? And you should. I mean, if you're not doing that, that's really bad. You should always reflect on your journey in terms of what you learned and where are you reached at the end of the year, and what went wrong during the year, right? If you are not able to plan that or reflect back on that, then you're not learning something from your Toastmasters journey. So I think one thing, if I want to call about regret, I'm not sure, but and like Sapna mentioned, right, it's not till you walk into those shoes, you realize how those shoes are different than your own shoes. So I remember when she was the DD last, I was the PQD, and we were on a call with someone, and I snapped on the call because the person was constantly lying on the call. So I just snapped, and like what Sapna said, I just cut the call. I'm like, I cannot deal with that. Uh, and then a day later, Sapna said that you cannot snap on individuals on calls like that. And so now I've become a lot more patient. That okay, as individuals, you know when someone is lying, right? Your natural mindset starts playing in. You stop being the leader, you start being a human, natural individual who wants to come back and say that person that, I know the facts. Right? This is ABC. So you can't always do that as a leader, and it's applicable in your professional life also. Right? It's not just limited to Toastmasters. Even professionally, you cannot always snap back at individuals on a conversation. So you'll have to be a lot more nicer in these calls. And that's one thing I've realized as a regret, that possibly not snapping out of the call, having the complete conversation, bringing it to a full circle, full stop, because you still have the authority to make the final decision. Sometimes when democracy doesn't work, you use autocracy or authoritative, whatever you want to call it, okay? Because you have to get the results at the end of it. So that's how, I mean, that's one thing that's a learning lesson that I have.
Yep, I think
Oh,
for me, it was it was one of the district events, and the way I was expecting it to be done, it was not. The preparation was zero. Like the next day, the event has to start, and till now, like a day before, the preparation was zero. And I lashed out, and I lashed out on everybody there, because for me, it was important that the event that was being conducted, if members are coming to attend that event on a Sunday morning or an entire day Sunday, they get the best of the experience. And it was clear that no, the organizers were not ready with it. We had done everything possible in order to ensure that the organizers, as well as like from sponsoring the event, everything was done. There was nothing which was left out from our side. But yeah, when people, but when I feel I could have handled it in a different way. Maybe I could have been a little less lashed out at that point of time, and maybe I would have spoken about it later. But I think that was the time when I just flipped there, and I I I just gave it out. Because for me, it's important, as I said, I don't get into the details of how you want to get things done, but get things done in the right way. Even if it's like you want to serve maybe 100 things, but you're only able to manage tea and coffee, I'm fine with it. But at least stay true to what you're going to do. Don't take too much on your plate, but just do the basics, right? That's the only ask that I always have. Don't go overboard. Just do the basics, right? But jo karna hai na, dil se karo, nahi to mat karo, chhod do. Just don't do
wow,
it just because it's a tick box in your checklist.
okay. Anybody who's now gonna go back in Sapna's team and work for her, remember this conversation. Just get it done. Doesn't matter how you're getting it done. She just wants results. We'll remember this, Sapna. Thank you so much for that. Ron, yes, you want to add
Yeah,
something?
just wanted to mention quickly that this episode we're extending by around 15-20 minutes more, and then we'll take questions because we have two guests and we're having a very interesting conversation. So this will be, if anybody's of our regulars are wondering why we are not wrapping up, it's because we have extended it. Just
Yeah.
keeping that in mind. Yeah, Joanne,
Thank
go ahead.
you.
Let's move forward now.
Yeah. So now we have done with the conflicts. And one thing I've realized, both of you mentioned regrets were when you lashed out. So I think the regrets are that, I think as humans, we do regret the fact that we are not treating the other humans how they, because events and all, they will keep on happening. You may fail, you may win, it's fine. But then the relationships that matter most. And I think this is a lesson that as anybody as leader, when you go ahead, you have to take this, right? Think about the fact how you're treating your fellow humans. As leaders, unfortunately, you will have to take the brunt and you will have to keep up the mask, as Hardik says, even though you know you're right. Be diplomatic. End of the day, the decision is yours. Thank you, Hardik and Sapna, for that wonderful lesson in that small 1 minute conversation that we had about. Now, okay, too much negative. I know Hardik and Sapna like, kahan fasa diya? In log conflicts hi pooch rahe. Ron, let's forget about the conflicts and go
let's
to the
talk about the
fun part.
future. Let's talk about innovation.
Yeah.
Let's talk about fun
Innovation.
stuff.
Let's talk about the fun part. So let me start by a neutral question. Both of you. Who are your ideals when it comes to leadership? Your mentors? Who do you look up to and learn from? Hardik, Sapna, Ron, even you can answer that. I would love to know who is your idol and mentor in Toastmasters, outside Toastmasters, doesn't matter. When it comes to leadership, can you give us some idea? Ron, would you like to go first so that
No,
Hardik and Sapna
let
can
them go.
Yeah, Sapna, please go ahead.
For me, I don't have any idols because I don't believe in idols. We are all human beings. We all have our own strengths and things that work for us, things that don't work for us. So I think, but mentors who've been throughout the journey, I think it's been brilliant. And Arvind is more like a father figure. I think he's held my hand in my entire division director journey, and that's where I learned how important it is to go back and learn your dates and the tasks to be performed from the leadership handbook. So he did it once and twice, and the third time I realized this is what Arvind is going to do. So I used to give him all the reports, and I think I've continued doing that till I was a district director, because and he was always concerned. He'll message you, he'll keep you on track and all. And so he's there. And someone whom I met was Pavas. He's the international director. I met him during my CGD days, where Nitesh had organized a training for us. And from there till today, I think if when it's strategy or whenever it's like I need a sounding board and I need someone to tell me how stupid I am, if I'm thinking emotionally, I go up to him and I talk to him, because he's always someone who will give you a very practical solution.
Who's
But
this?
at
Sorry, who's this?
Pawas Chandra, he's the international director for Region
Post Chandra.
13.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I look up to him. And yeah, I think these two folks and the rest are all there. I keep learning from everybody. So yeah.
Hardik, what about you?
So again, I mean, no idols as such, but there are people who have been influencers over the years that I admire in terms of what they've achieved and all of that. So back in college, was my college principal. She became the sheriff in Mumbai and all of that, and she was very active in a lot of things outside and stuff. Dr. Indu Shahani, pretty famous in the poppy circles. She was our college principal. Most recent is my last boss. So he joined the company when the company was at its all-time low. And within 12, 18 months, we turned around the company to its all-time high, which is a very rare thing to do. And within 18, 20 months, he quit the company for reasons best known to him. And on his farewell day, the entire staff was crying. So typically, normally we see that when a manager leaves, the employees are happy that छुटकारा मिल रहा है इससे. And this was a situation where the entire office was crying. They all sent him letters that please stay back, do not leave, and stuff like that. Like those emotional messages and all I've seen with the individual. So that is the kind of connect where you're connecting on a human level with every staff. He knew the name of the peon. He knew the name of every staff member at every office that we had. Already, he knew them by the first name. So he had that personal connect, and he delivered the result that a loss-making company which did not have enough funds to survive the next 10 days had a hefty bank balance when he finished his tenure as the CEO in 20 months. So that's the kind of people you want to look up to, that who has both sides to it. When you look at someone, and a similar question I asked him, that were you not stressed out on news? It's like, I am stressed out, but I can't show it to the people outside, right? They need to still live with it. So he's someone I really look up to out there. Virat Kohli, of course, for that fact. I mean, I remember, I think 10 years back when he started his journey, people had re-readed him that he does not deserve to be part of the Indian cricket team. And I have long fights and chats on Facebook. That's the way you went out with people, right? That no, he's the next person to be. And the journey has transformed himself as an individual, as a leader, is for all of us to see on how the Indian cricket team has, flourished over the last couple of years. And hope we'll win the World Cup this time. I'm putting that up as well. In Toastmasters, of course, I mean, there have been a lot of individuals, Arvind, brilliant. Sapna was the reason I'm very clear. If she was not there, I would have definitely been the CM of Maharashtra. I would have done something better. But then I'm stuck in Toastmasters right now.
Good for us. Thank you so much.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
I would have
Sapna's
been the
around
home
Nitesh.
secretary probably.
Home secretary. Yeah, after Amit Shah, you need an Hardik Shah, right? So, anyways.
Yeah, right.
So Nitesh is there. I think one person who I relate to in my leadership style for being so. I mean, while Ron says it's a funny bone, it's sarcasm. I'm pretty good at that reasonably. I've been controlling my emotions for the last 50, 60 minutes from not talking about it. But so Gauri is the Region 13 past director who was there. So she's extremely sarcastic, but she's also someone who is very focused to the point kind of individual. So whenever I want someone who understands my leadership style and and take an example, I go back to her. And if I want to take a more human, emotional side, then I go to people like Sapna and Arvind. So, that's how I try and manage both extremes of it. These are the professional and Toastmasters people I look up to.
Wow.
But also one
Ron,
thing,
like,
just to add, sorry, in the
no,
leadership journey,
Hardik, go ahead.
we come across a lot of people that we definitely don't want to be like them. So that's also important mentors that we have in our life. I will not name them on a public platform. I have to be diplomatic, right?
Don't be so candid, dude. Chalo, let's go. Move forward.
No, but you have role models and you have reverse role models. Don't look up to them. That's also a learning I feel very important. And I think that happens in everybody's life, right? In your family, friends, your chachas, mamas, everybody, you have reverse role models. You just look up to them. I'm like, this is not how I'm going to end up. So that's, I think as leaders also, you have reverse role models. Thank you for not taking their name. Otherwise, we'll have to do a lot of editing here. But thank you so much, Hardik and Sapna, for being honestly very candid about these things. Now let's go to the fun part. Leadership aside, how was Bahamas, guys?
It was amazing.
That is where the actual thing happened, right? Because here you are the stars.
Is this being
You're the
recorded?
Yes.
Yeah,
Is this being recorded?
Yes, this is being
Yes.
recorded. So be diplomatically candid. But that is, I feel like, the powerhouse where you are meeting the what do you say, the global leaders when it comes to Toastmasters. So from the leadership aspect, how was Bahamas, and did you learn something? Can you share something with us? Or it was just fun?
It wasn't fun, to be very honest. We had training sessions and the conference. I'm sure you've been to Eloquence, so you know how Eloquence is tightly packed with back-to-back events, activities happening, and lunch, meeting, networking, everything happening at the back end. But it starts late. Right? We started 9:10. We were wrap up by 6 o'clock or something like that. At Bahamas, we used to start at 8 a.m. And they used to lock the doors at 8. Our trainings, our conventions, our the annual business meeting started at 7 a.m. Okay. So we had to be there at 8 a.m., 7 a.m. dressed up. Okay. It's not on Zoom, it's in person. So we have to wear those blazers or kurtas, be ready with your patches, pins, and fresh and be present over there. So, I mean, of course, we went a day early, so to acclimatize with also with environment, with the time chain, the jet lag, and all of that. But we get to meet a lot of people and see a lot of different perspectives on how everyone is dealing with different situations. Okay? The networking, like I mentioned, right? You mentioned about communication leadership. Networking is one very strong platform in Toastmasters, which is very under leveraged. So a lot of initiatives that we want to drive this year in Toastmasters, we try and see if someone else has piloted with that. What were their success stories? For example, if you hear Gurukul today, it's in the 4th season. It was originally in District 92 as leadership development program. So we learn from them, their experiences, and then pivot ourselves in terms of what works for us and not. And so that's a mix that you get to meet a lot of people. You get to hear a different ways of approaching the same problem. See, club में members नहीं आना, education goals meet नहीं करना, ADs का club नहीं खोलना is a common problem across all districts. It doesn't change. I look at India, you look at Asia, Australia, UK, US, you find similar challenges, right? We are still better off, to be very honest. Region 13, India is still doing a lot better in terms of our meeting qualities, attendance, and all of that compared to anywhere else in the world. Right? That's a clear feeling everyone in Toastmaster has.
And yeah, and no thanks to
But
you guys.
like,
Because of you guys, your hard work. Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to say thanks to you guys. Yeah, you guys fantastic.
I think thanks to the legacy.
I think
Sorry,
Yeah.
Shardik, carry.
I, no worries. Thanks to all of us. So you get to meet, like for example, at when you meet people at division conferences, you see their club problems, struggles, you try and how it replicates for us, right? That happens at the district level over there, and then you meet the international president and ask them questions. That like you ask us 4 years of commitments for no pay. They are more than that. They put 5-6 years of commitment at the board level with no pay. So we ask them very similar questions. What keeps them going? And then we get some energy, some ideas from them, and that probably excites us a lot more in terms of keep getting things moving and there. So that's the business part. Of course, there's the fun part of once you are done at 6 o'clock, sunset is done, you go back, you meet people, you catch up over dinner, you catch up over drinks, you have fun, you roam around, the beaches are nice and stuff like that. So it's a mix of both, right? Both happens over there, no doubts about that. But at least those 5 6 days are very struggleful because being ready at 7 8 in the morning is not my cup of tea. But yeah, I managed to do that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He's
Hardik, that was
lying.
your version. Yeah,
He's
Sapna, you
lying.
have to
He's
tell
lying
Sapna
Sapna.
if
will
he
have
says
opposite version to it.
Monday and Tuesday was the only time that Hardik was awake. He was not, I'm sure he didn't even have his breakfast. He straight went for the training because Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I was up at 7 o'clock attending the business meeting. He was not there. He was attending it online on Zoom. So please. Okay. So I think for me, this time the experience was amazing. I'll tell you why. Because last year, yes, I was a district director. We had the trainings and all of that stuff, right? But this year I was part of a campaign and I was there to receive the award. For the first time, I think to our surprise, which we were not known, we actually had a golden gavel lunch, which was with the first vice president, the second vice president, region advisors, the CEO, and the international president. So it was for all the districts who have received distinguished and above status. So that's a delight and that's like an honor, when you sit and you sit across with different districts and you sit across with the senior leaders and you're chatting over and you're eating lunch and then you're talking about what really went well with your district. So that was an experience that we've never had, and I hope that just because we became select distinguished, we had that experience, and I hope that all our leaders from this year onwards as well keep pushing themselves to achieve that status in order to keep sitting on that table, because you learn leadership. And I still remember what Matt said, that when he called all of us, to congratulate, there were a lot of us who actually did not accept that congratulations as a win as a district director, but we were rather, oh, you know what, our team has done this and stuff like that. So he's like, learn to accept your hard work, that you have worked equally hard as your team, and just because you've been there, you've led your team to success, and that was something which was hard hitting. That was one takeaway. Second, I was part of 3 election campaigns and all my 3 candidates won. But I think the leadership, I've learned the true meaning of leadership. What do you call networking? How people actually talk, what's the hush hush tones happening out there, how people are perceiving you, how they're looking at you. There was a point when I was actually asked, why are you even part of this campaign? Why are you supporting this candidate? I'm like, I am not the candidate. Why are you asking me? And they said, you're the campaign member. So you better know why you're supporting this candidate. And anybody can ask you that question. So you learn leadership more when you actually go on to that international level. And the humane part of it, I'll tell you, we had one of the candidates who forgot his speech, the 2 minutes candidate speech. And we were all like in shock. And the first thought that I had was, this is what happens at that level. So, this is Toastmasters. And then everybody was encouraging him. You could have seen the kind of stress the contest, the candidates go through. For me, that was an experience. And I would definitely want to go through that experience one day myself. But it's amazing. It's amazing. So yeah, this
Definitely,
is my side
Sapna.
of it.
We wish you all the best. I personally wish you all the best.
Thank you.
I hope you get there. And with that in mind, let me just reset the room. If anybody has any questions for both our top leaders, Sapna as well as Hardik, please put them on chat and we'll pick them up as we wrap up. There are just like hardly 10 minutes left for the podcast. Coming back to you, Sapna, you said this is your dream now, right? You want to reach there. This question is addressed to you mainly. You have been the district director, you have gone for campaign, been in Bahamas twice, at the global level. As a woman, have you ever felt that you had to put more efforts? How does the equation of leadership change for a woman? Or is it like, it doesn't matter? Toastmasters is such a supportive place that the gender bias and gender role is not happening here. What do you think about it?
Honestly, I've never faced the gender bias within Toastmasters or outside of my work. For me, it's important is that, am I able to do that job or not? I have gotten into all of my leadership roles never thinking if I'll be able to do it. I've never read my leadership handbook. So I have been of the opinion, I think I'm, the Chalta Firta Toastmasters experiential learning, you get into it and you learn. It's fine. And then once your term is over, you think, Arey yaar, main kuch acha kar sakti thi types. Right? So I have always been like that. So I have never faced that kind of a discrimination. And I see a lot of women leaders who are so strong on the top. If you look at the the top leadership right now, you've got Murag, you've got I'm forgetting the second VP name,
Radhi,
Rochelle,
Radhi Spear,
Radhi
Aleta.
Spear, Aleta Rosha, and then, within the IDs also 50% of them are women. Gauri is one of them. And I think there are equal opportunities if you know that you want to do it, one, and if you're ready to learn on that and learn during that entire tenure of you being an ID or any other leadership role. So for me, I think it's all about that. See, as a woman, coming from an Indian household, obviously, there are a lot many times that we hear a lot of. My mother is, she will tell me, "Oh, don't do this, don't go out so late, ladki ho kya," and stuff like that. I run my entire household on my own, but I get to hear all of this, so I know that the block is in their mind. And I always tell my mother, I said, मम्मी आपको जो करना आप करो, मेरे को जो करना है मैं वो करूंगी. So I've always had this particular funda or a phrase in my life. I will do what I want to do, and I don't care what the result is, because I own the result at the end of the day. So yeah, and I think I'm surrounded by women like that only.
That's great to hear. And I think it's also a very positive message that Toastmasters, the fraternity is highly encouraging, because you are saying you have never felt that as a woman you had to put in extra efforts, or any kind of gender bias you have not faced. I think that's a very positive and encouraging message. Hardik, do you want to add something?
Just put one number to it, statistics, analytics, whatever you want to call it. What she mentioned in the top board of 19 people, I think 70% are women this year. So,
Wow.
so that's the kind of encouragement that people have. That people do not look at your gender today when in terms of getting those leadership moving out for you. I think gender has not been a question anymore. That as a factor distinguishing between two individuals as a better poised individual to take up that role.
I think it's all about ability now, not gender. Wow. Thank you so much, guys, and thank you, Sapna, especially for being very candid about the fact that you will do whatever you do. I'm going to look up to you, and I'm also going to follow that path slowly and steadily, like very, that's a very courageous message for all us women out here. Thank you so much. Oh, so much we have spoken about leadership, Ron. I feel like I don't want to stop, but yet I feel that pressure.
Let's start winding up. See, nothing. Let's see questions, and I mean we could speak till 12 in the night also, I'm sure, but
exactly. There's
a lot
so
of
much
patient audience has been patient.
Yeah, very patient audience. I have just one last question. I have to ask this because this is something very interesting. And then if audience, you guys have any questions, please put them on chat. Otherwise, we'll wrap up this wonderful season 2, episode 1. Last question to Hardik as well as Sapna. How does a day in the district director's life look like?
Dashboard.
Beyond the dashboard.
The triplet. Beyond the dashboard. A little elaboration, maybe 30 seconds or more. 2 minute table topics.
I think I know we all have a habit of starting the day with looking at our WhatsApp or social media updates and all of that, right? So of course, a lot of us look at especially not right now, April, May, June, when the term is coming to an end, we start looking at it a lot more intently comparatively. But so I these days control my urge to post a message to the group at 8, 9, 10 in the morning. So when I wake up, I've seen some emails, I want to clear off some things for today. But people do not want to see Toastmasters the first thing in the morning, right? We should remember that the passion that we may have for Toastmasters is not always going to be the same energy by a second individual. So we have to adjust to that schedule as well. That for me, I want to get out of my head. मैंने 8 बजे group पे डाल दिया 3 चीजें होनी है मैं. Now I control and put them smartly at 3, 4 in the afternoon, so that people don't think this is the first thing I do every day morning. See, it is Toastmasters. I have to get that perception change also for individual. Because life is a Toastmasters here. People need to start believing that there's life beyond Toastmasters for us as well. So a day is like, as a digital director, there's something happening every day. You're looking for a demo meeting, a club is not renewing, किसी club में membership नहीं हो रही, किसी club में education goals नहीं हो रहा है, किसी club में किसी member को membership नहीं मिल रही है. Somebody there's a deck meeting, DCM meeting, we have to do some marketing event, Kahani IPL का announcement करना है. So every day there's going to be a call with some other individual. Like before this call at 8 o'clock, I had a call an hour before with one of the 2 officers, right? So I was on a 50-minute call with them, and I told them I have to wrap up at 10 minutes. I have to shift to a different call. So it's going to be very unpredictable on days, that how do you plan your schedule really well? You can't always plan your schedule because you have to be available to talk to the admin manager, finance manager, PR person, PQD, CGD, DivD, AD, or there are 40 people. So you have to start adjusting your schedule somewhere to meet their requirements. So sometimes, like Sapna mentioned, your personal life takes a back seat because, see, for us, it's not professional life, personal life, socializing, all of that. Toastmaster comes as a third category for a lot of individuals. But when you're sitting in this seat, you start having to prioritize Toastmasters somewhere above your personal life because professional life से खाना पीना तो बंद नहीं कर सकता मैं. घर पे मॉम डैड थोड़ा रूठ लेंगे तो ठीक है 10 मिनट बाद मान जाएगी घर वाले. But you can't do that at an office. If your boss is like, you didn't submit this on time, well, it affects your ratings, bonus, and blah, 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 it stays with you. So, the professional life stays as it is. Your personal life starts taking a toss at times, and it starts taking a toll on your schedule and planning because you can't plan your weekends. You can't plan your holidays much in advance. Like the area conferences have started, so every weekend there's an area conference. As soon as that ends, you'll have a division conference in November, December. As soon as that ends, we'll have the TLTP in January, February. Vapas, renewals, this and that. So there's something that happens every month with you, right? And again, you're working with 10 different offices. So at least 60 minutes per day, average at least, goes in Toastmasters in terms of planning, execution, strategizing, negotiating, and looking forward. And you do not know what portion of your day that will eat up of yours. So a day in DD is unplanned. While it looks that okay, I have a 8 o'clock call, a 7 o'clock, 6 on my calendar, at the back of your head, anything can change anytime.
So be prepared. A day in DD is like every day in a Toastmasters meeting. Be prepared for it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Hardik and Sapna. Over to you. A day in DD.
कुछ नहीं यार, सेम है. मतलब what dashboard dashboard dashboard, you just have to keep looking किसका काम हुआ नहीं हुआ, who's done what is pending, what's not pending, इसको सुनाओ उसको सुनाओ, coordinate करो. And then I used to give धमकीज, तुमसे नहीं हो रहा तो मैं कर लेती हूँ. Then everybody used to start working because they knew कि इसके ऊपर छोड़ा तो ये पक्का करके आएगी, ये सुनेगी नहीं किसी की. So that's how it used to be. But yeah, I used to give like dedicated 1 hour before I used to start my work. So I don't have like a fixed timing that I have to go to office. So I used to give like 1 hour before I will start my regular day and say, okay, let me just look at what's happening. So I'll drop all the messages and all. I think a lot of my team members knew that I'm an early. So I generally, I'm very famous. I sleep by 10. So by 9 o'clock, my phone goes on silent mode. I sleep off by 10. So even if you're trying to reach out to me, I'm not available kinds. And then I wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So like Sunita was my dam at that point of time. So I knew that she wakes up. So we'll be chatting at that point of time. If something is there or not there. And that's when I used to drop messages to a lot of people. And there have been times when I've called also 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and people have like, what happened? And then I'm really sorry. But specifically, I've done this to Nishant, who was my DFM. And then I'm really sorry, but this has to be done. He's like, उठ के फोन करता हूँ मैं तेरे को. And because these are like, I never did this to my DivDs or my ADs, but I always used to do this to my top 7. Hardik and you will never answer my call at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, but I still used to try. And I always used to call him when he was traveling in the train. Somehow that is how it used to be. So I used to ensure that before I start my office, I'll whatever has to be done. But yeah, in the day anything can happen. People want to talk to you or whatever it is. So end of the day also it's Toastmasters. But yeah, there's no
Thank you so much.
balance.
And thank you so much. And sorry, Sapna, I'm keeping you here till this late. I know you have to go back to sleep now. 10 and your phone should be switched off. So
Yes,
let's just
start,
wrap up.
wrapping up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's just wrap up. Any last words, Hardik, for tonight in this meeting? Any last message for all the members who are going to watch this, maybe offline on YouTube, and all the 16 people who are right now here patiently waiting?
So I think I'll put it like a finance professional, take the risk. All right, don't stand on the cliff, jump. You will figure out a way to open your parachute or get the wings when you're flying down, all right? Or someone will throw one of them at you. But jump. Don't get scared of experimenting. If I have to quote a famous Shah Rukh Khan dialogue, मैं जिंदगी भर काश ही कहना चाहता हूँ. So don't live on regrets. Experiment it, fail, There'll be someone who'll catch you up. And, even if you lose in Toastmasters, let's say you didn't be successful as you wanted it to be, it's not career defining for you as an individual, right? So, but experiment karo. Don't stop yourself from experimenting and piloting. Don't refrain and hold yourself कि लोग क्या कहेंगे and सोचेंगे. Do what you have to do. Uh, Ask questions, be curious, and jump. I think don't hold yourself back.
Jump. That's Hardik's message. Everybody who's listening, just jump. Somebody will throw the parachute. Don't worry. Sapna, any last words for tonight's leadership journey?
I think for me, whatever you want to do in life, always take the risk, because I'm someone who's always taken a lot of risks, but I always own up the responsibility of the results. I never go about blaming anyone or anybody else that, oh, you know what, aisa tha to waisa ho gaya and all of that. I and I don't stop. I have only one thing in life, that when I'm dying, I shouldn't have any regrets that I didn't do this or didn't do that. So keep trying and just see, maybe something clicks, really clicks. And even if it doesn't, you've always learned something new, and while you were trying to do it. So just don't hold yourself back, and don't bother about what people will think, or what they will people everyone will think. They have a perception. You do you, and let the world go take a walk.
Let the world go take a walk. I love that final words. You do you and let the world go take a walk. Thank you so much, Sapna and Hardik. Ron, over to you. Any final words to express the way you're feeling right now?
I want to just say thank you to both of you for your time and your, frankly, brilliant honesty and forthrightness. This was amazing and really appreciated. I want to tell you one small thing before we close, that the district conference in Ahmedabad was fantastic. Really enjoyed it. Thank you for that. That was awesome. And me coming back into Toastmaster after a hiatus, I really enjoyed it. But this podcast is a fruit of that conference, and you organized a session on podcasting, if you recall, and that's where this podcast was born as an idea. So I mean, it's in a way, it's thanks to you guys that we are doing this, and much appreciated. And thank you for all the hard work and everything you've done for the district, for us. We really appreciate it. On behalf of the district, we want to say thank you to you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
Thanks,
I
thanks
have
for having us.
thoroughly enjoyed.
I think United should send a royalty bill to Joe and Ro now for initiating this idea.
This
But
is the
Joko, thank you so much for having us.
CA aa gaya bhai.
This is the first podcast, or for that matter, a session. I mean, I've been to so many panels or whatever it is, but it's so formal. But itna maza aaya na mujhe. Itna maza aaya na mujhe. Like,
Thank
it's
you.
really heartwarming. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for having us. Thank you for planning this so
Thank you
much in
so much.
advance. Great stuff, Joe and Ro.
In Joe and Ro, we have a tradition, we summarize. I'll be very quick in today's summary because we have overshot the time. And the fact is, for the past 1.5 hours, my dear friends, Toastmasters guests, and anyone who's going to listen to this podcast, I'll tell you, we have spoken on so many different topics. And the best part is both our leaders, Hardik as well as Sapna, they have been very honest, raw, and candid. So it's going to be very difficult for me to summarize this podcast, but I'll try. We started off with the question, what's your motivation, right? In Toastmasters, at every point, you get a chance to be a leader. So what's your motivation when there's no remuneration? And Hardik says, you know what? This is the place where you can experiment and learn, figure out what your leadership style is. And that is where you will learn something for your professional life, the real career world that will go outside. So why not take this opportunity to experiment and understand your leadership style? That's Hardik's motivation for being a leader here. And Sapna is like on a different level. She said it's a therapeutic experience. It gives her happiness. I wish everybody can get that energy and happiness from Sapna. I wish we all can find therapy. I'm still not there yet, but yeah, it's a therapeutic experience for Sapna, even though you have sacrifices, even though it takes up a lot of time and effort. She says transformation happens in Toastmasters when you are a leader and you want to witness that transformation. That is the motivation for which both of them learn. One of the best things that these two leaders brought in is the fact that they are on that cusp, on the boundary line. They have seen and been with senior Toastmasters, the millennials and the generation before that, as well as now working with Generation Z. And they gave a very beautiful perspective. Hardik says seniors are more experienced and patient, while youngsters bring ideation, innovation, experimentation, a change of flavor that beautiful combination. If we can leverage these both together, I think that is the next way for becoming a great leader. Bring your experience as well as your experimentation and innovation. And for Sapna, the beauty is in formality and professionalism. She wishes that youngsters bring back that professionalism in Toastmasters. And one of the things that she loves about youngsters is the fact that they are open to make mistakes, they are fearless and courageous, and they don't go for perfection. This is something that maybe seniors can learn. I think both of us can learn from each other. Seniors, juniors, doesn't matter. There's always a learning curve happening between all these generations. The most important question in leadership: how do you manage conflicts and obstacles? This was one thing that I wanted to know, and they have both been honest about it. Hardik says beautifully, you may disagree with an individual, but you don't disrespect them. Keep this value with you, my dear friends, wherever you are in life, as a leader or even as a human being. You can disagree, but don't disrespect, or you will regret that action. Another important point, you have to remember, as leader, you have to take the bird's eye view. And that bird's eye view is not necessary is what everyone else is saying. So a leader has to think for everyone. An individual is only thinking about themselves. So keeping that big picture in mind, you have to manage your conflicts and obstacles. And last but not the least, Hardik says, be realistic. There is a difference between realism and idealism. And as a leader, you have to think about being realistic and getting things done than just being idealist about managing conflicts and getting over obstacles. Sapna brings in a different perspective for the same question. She says communication is the most important thing if you want to manage conflicts and obstacles. One of the biggest issues she feels is that people don't talk. So if there is a conflict, her mantra is go back, talk, at least for once. Try to solve that. Don't leave the conflict there on the paper. Just get it done over with. And that will help you to get over your obstacles and conflicts. Next, Ron raised a very important question. How do you manage the negative side of leadership? This is very important because you see the fame, you see the power, and you see the prestige. But what about all the anxiety, the stress, the politics, the negativity that comes with leadership? Hardik says, there are days when he questions and doubts himself like any other human. So honest and raw about that. But the key here is pause. His mantra is simple. Even if you're a leader, pause. Sleep over it if you can. Instant reaction is something that he has learned to stop. As a leader, don't react instantly. Sleep over your conflicts, sleep over your issues, give it some time, let it cook, and then come back with an answer. It is not important that every single question needs to be answered then and there. And the second thing he says, how he handles negativity is he remembers the fact that his energy is what the team's energy will be, and the team's energy will then trickle down to the district. So he needs to keep up that mask. He needs to keep up that crown and show and portray the fact that he's strong, even though inside, yes, there are days when he doubts himself. He has issues, he has anxiety. Doesn't matter. You have taken that leadership role. Then you stand strong for your team, for your district, and for the people who trust in you. Sapna, wow, she was very honest and raw about this. She said mental breakdown is something that has happened. And there was a point when she wanted to quit Toastmasters. But one thing she learned is, if you want to be a good leader, first surround yourself with good people. Surround yourself with the right tribe who encourage you, who are there for you when you want to vent out. Hardik is one of those people, she says. And second, very important thing, I think this is very important, develop a thick skin. Not just this thick skin, but a real thick skin. Develop that thick skin, my dear friends, because there's not going to be a chance that you're a leader and you don't have to face negativity. It's not going to happen. As Hardik said, don't be too ideal. Realistically, yes, people are going to hate you. Yes, people are going to question you. You have to develop the thick skin. And finally, Sapna says, focus what is the big picture. What is your goal? Why are you here? You're not here to manage conflicts and prove positivity over negativity. You're here to get things done and manage your goals. Focus on that, develop a thick skin, and forget about everything else. Wow, there's so much more that they spoke about. Role models, what are the things that they regret? How was Bahamas? But I'm not going to go in detail. If you want to know their experience in Bahamas and you want to know what happens there, and maybe in future you aspire to be there, go back and listen to the podcast, my dear friends, on Spotify as well as YouTube. How does a day in the district director's life look like? Go back again to the podcast and listen. If I give you everything in the summary, you won't go through the podcast. So I won't go into details. Final message from both Hardik and Sapna. Hardik Shah, the current district director of District 98, says, jump. If you don't remember anything else, just remember this one word. Jump, take the risk. Don't think too much about the consequences. Someone will always throw you the parachute. Yes, I truly believe that in Toastmasters, we have built up a fraternity of encouraging and positive people. Someone will definitely throw you the shoe. So just take that risk and jump. And for Sapna, of course, she says, own up to your responsibility and take the risk. But I love the final words that tonight Sapna said, you do you and let the world take a walk. Doesn't matter. Be true to yourself. Be honest to yourself. Wow. I have tried to summarize 1.5 hours of learning and candid conversation in a couple of minutes. I have not been able to justify this summarization. I do feel guilty. But if you want to know everything and anything about leadership, and especially about the role of district director and what are the challenges that these leaders have faced, please listen to this podcast, season 2, episode 1 of Joe and Ro Talk Toastmasters. Thank you, everyone. You have been a fantastic audience. And thank you both, Hardik and Sapna. It's a great honor, pleasure, and really grateful for you both to take out your precious time from your day as a district director and give it to us at Joe and Ro Talk Toastmasters. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us. It's
Thank
a
you so
pleasure
much.
to be,
Thanks,
to
Joe.
be part of this. Seriously, I loved it. Thank you very much. I can have a good night's sleep.